Tonight the Weinreporter is coming out of his new studio in the Weinland Waterfront on Hamburg harbour side, and he has a guest from South Africa. It's Arco Laarman, the winemaker of Glen Carlou. And we have a wine from Glen Carlou. It's a Grand Classique 2006, and this wine and this winery remembers me on my first visit in South Africa. This was in early '92 in a very hot January, 12 or 14 months after Nelson Mandela was released from the jail, and 2 years before for the first election. And this was also the first trip of German wine journalists to this country. And this wine, the Grand Classique, was in this time something like a revolution. And this was absolutely new, and this was astonishing for us because it was a mellow Cabernet blend. It was a Bordeaux style wine out of South Africa. That was completely new. And today the Grand Classique is for this country a real classic wine. After how many vintages you produced?
After 17 vintages.
After 17 vintages. But there is something that changed. It's the grape varieties.
Yeah, it's now all 5 Bordeaux varieties. Cabernet mainly, then Merlot, some Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Cabernet Franc. And the wine is aged for 2 years in barrique, so it's about 50% new French and 50% second and third full oak for 2 years.
Okay, so you have all the 5 classic varieties from Bordeaux now in the wine.
Yeah.
In 1992 it was only Merlot and Cabernet Franc, no Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
Because it was very rare to find some Petit Verdot and Malbec in this time in South Africa.
Yeah, it was also the beginning of Glen Carlou, and we were planting a lot of new vineyards. There was very little grapes on the farm, and Paarl was still experimenting with varieties that worked in the region. And Petit Verdot and Malbec in the warmer Paarl region works quite well. So the concentration of that fruit really has brought some primary fruit characters to the wine, which it may not have had in the lighter years. Also, the alcohol is a little higher, at around 14%. In 1992, the people were picking 91, 92. They were picking a little less ripe, more on TA and pH than phenolic ripeness.
Yeah, I remember this, and this was the time when also in Australia the winemakers tried to copy the classic Bordeaux style with 12.5 alcohol, but that was wrong in a hot country.
And it's the same with us.
In a hot country you have to wait until the grapes are really ripe, and Petit Verdot and Malbec they ripe later.
Yeah. So and you have to watch with the heat, because you get sugar ripeness very quickly, but you don't get physiological ripeness where your pips darken and the skins release their color. And we work in the vineyard. As soon as you take the berry, you can just press the berry on the surface, and you see the color coming off.
And the Glen Carlou vineyards, they are relatively high on the mountain.
We're not a high winery. We're only around 270 meters above sea level, but a very long, narrow winery with a lot of soil profiles. And the Cabernets are more in the lower lying area of the farm. So it's a little warmer down there. All the vines are under irrigation, so we just look after them through the warmer time.
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
It's fruity, but not this typical southern hemisphere oversea fruitness.
Yeah.
There's also good minerality.
Yeah.
And for me, it's perfect integrated tannins.
It is. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It's important. The barrels that we use use wood that is not overpowering. I don't like to get that burnt smoked bacon or sawdusty characters in the nose. I prefer to get more that tobacco leaf, a little bit of Christmas cake, a little bit of sweet character. And
it's a clear fruit in the nose,
yeah,
but some spiciness.
Yeah.
And that's a good combination.
And it's a dark plum fruit, and it's like you said, the tannin structure is nice. We want a wine that you can drink now, but also will age for longer periods of time. People don't have the time for cellaring really.
How many time to cellaring do we give this wine?
I would say anywhere between 5 to 8 years. Some people like to age him even more. We had a virtual tasting on the winery of the last 10 vintages only a month ago, and the 2099 are still drinking really well. So it's up to you how long you can keep your hands off it in your cellar.
I like more this older and riper wine. So I would say this wine will stay for minimum 15 to 20 years. I just had some red wines from South Africa from the mid 90s, and they were all beautiful.
So good.
Okay, that was Arco Laarman.
Thank you.
From Glen Carlou in Paarl, and now I will do for a moment. I will do a little bit Don King, the Don King of wine. No, that's boxing. Well, okay, but we'll do this tribute for the football World Cup in South Africa.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
to Bafana.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.